Hi, and welcome to Source Seers. I'm Love.
And I'm Tylynn. We're two Los Angeles-based witches who were brought together by fate with one mission.
To translate wisdom from Source and provide spiritual knowledge for the collective.
We're here to explore psychic stories, pop culture predictions, trauma healing, ancient knowledge, astrology, tarot, and so much more.
Source Seers is here to shine the spotlight on how the mystical realms are interwoven into the very fabric of our everyday lives.
Yeah!
Welcome to another episode of Source Seers podcast. I'm Love, and this is Tylynn, my lovely co-host. So we're gonna do a little bit of a shorter episode today, but more of like a check-in. Like, how's everyone feeling after the inauguration, the LA fires, the Gaza ceasefire? Like, there's just the snowing in Florida and New Orleans. Like, okay, there's a lot going on. But we wanted to talk about mostly the inauguration, mostly the presidency. Tylynn said something really pertinent before we started recording. Like, this is Source Seers. Like, we're not shying away from any of these topics. We are not only love and light, we are reality.
Go to the depths of the shadows.
Yes.
And we're clearly seeing so much fear, hatred, and deep darkness reflected back to us in what is happening in reality. And yeah, I was telling Love, in the spiritual community, it is just running rampant, this idea of we're entering 5D, this new earth energy, the collective frequency is rising in consciousness. And I'm sitting here like, but yet
The pot says everything. You're like,
all of this is occurring right now on the planet, right? Because this is happening in America, and that's where we feel it because this is where we live. But you could be listening to this halfway across the world and still be experiencing these systems of oppression within wherever you are. So it's like this is something that is running rampant throughout the world. And to me, it doesn't feel like we are like moving into 5D if most people are operating from a state of fear and in separation principles and tactics. People are super leaning into the separation principles and tactics, which to me feels not healthy and not like we are rising in consciousness.
no.
So I'm calling bullshit on the 5D. I don't know. I might be triggering some spiritual people listening to this because that's probably our audience, like mystical, witchy people. But we're here to tell the truth.
Yeah, and like on my other podcasts, I've talked about this. Like, I teach my students this when I do intuitive development. Whenever I'm talking about spirituality, if you follow the thought process of the people who want like the new earth or the new consciousness or the new timeline, like those ideations and those things, they stem from similar places that colonization and imperialism and all of that stems from, right? Like, it's this idea that we messed it up and now we're just going to like leave.
It's still separation principles and tactics of here I am doing all of my spiritual work, therefore I'm ascending and you're not.
Yeah.
It's still a separation.
Yeah, it's not like we're all in this together, we're a community, we need to help every single person. Like, that's cool if you can, rise above all of this stuff. And I will point out, like, largely these people that popularize or promote this kind of ideation are white people, right?
Yeah.
So it's like people who don't have to deal with the harsher realities of being like a person of color, being more oppressed, having less privileges. So for them, it's ingrained this sort of colonial ideation of like, oh, I can just do it myself and leave myself and like save myself and like everyone is fine. Like, why are you suffering? Like, I affirmation mindset my way into thinking like I don't have suffering in my life. And a lot of these people, like, because they live their life like this, they don't develop real grounded practices to support themselves through darkness, through times that we're going through right now, where there's a lot of struggle and suffering and fear. And that's why they want to just run away when it happens. They're like,
Yeah.
let's ascend and go to the new earth. Let's, like, raise our consciousness. But they don't really address, like, what about the other people? What about all the rest of the people that will still be here? What about the rest of the people that, like, they're struggling to do that? Or, like, you're not reaching the hand and pulling them out too. You're just leaving it yourself.
It's escapism
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, there's a thing that I've been hearing around the election and the inauguration with Trump taking, presidency around, like, a different time, like, another timeline emerging.
Yeah, that's wild. I saw that all over TikTok, and it was all white women, like, "We're in a new timeline now," and it's like, "What planet are you on?" Because I look around and I don't like what I'm seeing.
Yeah, if
Like
we are on any timeline, I don't want to be a part of this
Yeah.
unless there's, like, some hidden, thing that will make it better that I haven't seen. It doesn't seem like that's gonna be the case.
Like, it feels genuinely scary, like, all the
Mhm.
stuff that's happening with now our education system and mass deportation, and now discrimination is straight up legal.
Yeah.
Like, what this is the new timeline y'all wanna be on? Like
Yeah, and largely the white people don't have anything to worry about when that changes, right? When the, like, equal
that's
opportunity in hiring
interesting.
is taken away, doesn't matter. They're gonna still be hireable, you know? Like, so it is important, and that's why it's important to have that collective, like, mentality, because it might be sunshine and roses for you, but your other fellow humans are suffering. And so, I don't know, I just feel like it's kinda like, okay, if one person is doing really well, like, cool, like, that doesn't mean everything is good.
Yes.
It's pretty much like a mini microcosm, like, version of how America is right now, where there's, like, a few people with a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of privilege, and everyone else is just, like, suffering at their hands, you know? So, yeah, it is sort of the American dream, but that I would argue needs to die. That dream needs to die. We need a new dream.
Yeah.
That was not good.
The power dynamics in the collective right now, it's so out of balance, and it does feel like the way that we reclaim that power is through what you were saying around grounded spirituality and grounded practices that get us in our body, that heal our nervous system, that align us with what is actual real truth instead of escapism.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and creating systems of change, right? Because we can do as much energy healing and as much detoxifying of our body, as much salt baths and things like that. But if we're constantly in a system that is attacking us and making our nervous system, like, on fire and making us jump through all these hoops, like, it low key makes sense why these people are like, I want to escape, right? Like, on the large scale, like, the system is garbage, and, yeah, I'm sure every single person that's not benefiting from that system wants to escape, in some way, shape, or form, right? And so it can feel nice to be like, "Oh, I made it through. I went through the portal and I got out on the other side positively, so yay, I must be doing something right." But it's like, what if, like, we just address that the system, like, sucks for everyone? Like, why do we constantly have to be self-caring and constantly have to be grounding and constantly have to be fighting and struggling and all these things? It's like, when you are in a community-based space, like, that's when those, like, I guess, like, broken parts get highlighted more. Like, your other community members can share what they're going through that maybe you would never experience, and point out, we'd all see the similarities between all of us and be like, "Wait a minute." Like, if there's, like, a common saying that's been going on, like, if everyone needs therapy, like, maybe it's like the system, right? Like, what kind of reality are we living in where everyone could benefit from or need therapy at this point? Like, everyone has anxiety, like, everyone has depression. Like, hmm, maybe it's a systemic issue then, and it's not like a singular person based issue. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I imagine that world where everyone has access to healthcare, everyone has access to the modalities that Love and I practice, imagine this world where everyone receives some form of therapeutic touch at least once a month. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have wars, and what you're saying is 100% true. It is a systematic issue, and this is something that I'm hoping, as we're Sourceers podcasts, this is something that I'm hoping will start to see the shift in within the collective
Yeah.
because Pluto is now moving through Aquarius,
Yeah.
and that transit will be for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
And Aquarius is a fixed air sign. And so, because of that, Aquarius represents systems, right? Aquarius is a sign traditionally ruled by Saturn, and in Capricorn, Saturn rules over the structure,
Yeah.
businesses, corporate, and we saw that
Yeah.
the whole time that Pluto was in Capricorn, the rise of these corporate power structures.
Yeah.
But Aquarius is a sign that relates to our individuality and to these community spaces, right? Where communities and groups of people all have a vision. It's very innovative in its qualities. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping that this transit will support the collective in seeing transformation within these systems. And throughout history, this has been a time of revolution. And I'm sitting around like seeing all these things happen and I'm like, when are we going to be pushed to the breaking point, America, of like we can no longer live in this system that has been set up for us. Like, we have to come together and create a vision for a better system.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that's gonna happen because again, we are all in our individual like
Yeah.
spaces and I have been focusing a lot of my own personal energy on my craft, which is healing, like offering the community ear seeds and these things to sort of support the collective nervous system here in Pasadena. But I do feel this greater call of how can we all come together and make the shift
Yeah.
happen because I don't like what I'm seeing
Yeah.
in the collective.
Like, lately with all this stuff, like, I don't really have a lot of energy or motivation to be like, "Come to my sound bath, come to my like,
Yeah.
book a reading with me." It's like, I really wish I could be funded and be out here, like, doing the legitimate work that will support the revolution that we need and the change that we need. But I like how you were talking about so that ties in really well with that timeline theory that we've been seeing on TikTok about, like, what will change, what will be different in our society. And, like, for those who maybe aren't, like, super into astrology or, like, don't really believe it, it's like if you look at history and compare it to astrology, you do see the truth. Like, America was kind of founded, when Pluto was in Aquarius, so it was a big, like, despite the whole colonization of it all, their intention was like, "I do not like the system, the king in the UK, and I am rebelling and rejecting this system because it's not supportive." And they were like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go find a new place." And of course, they just like handled everything incorrectly once they got to America. But it created this like it had this energy of like, why are we doing it this way? We want to do it differently. We don't like the structure and the way that it's set up and it's not helping us. And so like you said, with Pluto, Capricorn, Pluto is a planet of illumination and hidden and mystery. Like we saw through these past 20 years the truth of our corporate systems, of our government systems. We saw like we had like Jeffrey Epstein, we had like all this stuff about like election tampering, like we had the stuff with like the market crash and like there's so many things that we saw through like the facade that they were telling us in our systems. And that I feel like really poises us well to pair with the Pluto Aquarius. So like, okay, we saw the truth of the systems and we're seeing that it's not supportive. It's not built for the everyday person, right? The 95% of America that makes less than like $300,000, right? It's not supportive for any of us. And so with the Aquarius, it's like this time to get innovative. It's time to get weird. It's time to be different. It's time to break the mold, to break the boundary. That's what Aquarius is about, right? Like if you ever see Aquarius people, you can tell that they're Aquarius because their fashion is like out there. Like, they are not afraid to be bold, to try new trends, to wear weird looking shit. Like, and that's like, if you know David Bowie, he's like considered like the Aquarius like archetype. He was like, screw gender. I'm gonna be like androgynous looking. I'm gonna wear like a jumpsuit, like cat suit thing and like dye my hair like red and wear makeup and like like that is so many Aquarius people are like whatever system doesn't work, I don't apply to it. I don't fit in and I reject it and I create my own. And I really want us to have that collectively to be like, wow, these systems suck. Like, let's do a different system. But I do agree. It's like, what does that look like? How does that happen? Like, I don't know about you, but I've been having like a lot of conversations on social media with other psychics, other intuitives, regular people who are tapped into their intuition. And everyone since Trump ran for reelection keeps getting this answer of he's not going to be president. And they, at the same time, feel like, "Oh, but he'll win the election, but he's not gonna be president. Oh, but he'll be inaugurated, but he's not gonna be president," right? Like, there's this, like, weird, I guess, phenomena. I don't wanna call it a phenomenon because it's like people are tapping into the truth, right? Like, so I had someone ask me that on one of my TikToks because I predicted that TikTok wouldn't get banned. And it just felt like it would be different, which it is now. If you notice, like they're censoring a lot of stuff. You don't see like all the real stuff, and if you search things, it's like you don't get any results. Um, but then I posted that video, and someone was like, "Hey, what are your thoughts?" Like, I'm feeling intuitively like Trump will not complete his 4 years presidency term. And I was like, I felt that when he got elected. Like, I was in the group chat with my family. Like, they were all like, "Great, like, congrats, everyone! Like, we're screwed." Like most of my family on my dad's side, thank God, is like anti-Trump. And I was like, "But it doesn't feel like he's gonna be president. Like, don't worry, guys." And then my aunt, she's like, "Poor naive love. Like, of course Trump will still be." Because I was like, "He has his court case. Like, he'll go to jail." And she was like, "No," which she was correct, but it just has consistently felt like it, and all these other people since I posted have been commenting like, "I feel the same thing too, I feel the same thing too." Like, my Reiki mentor, my Reiki master, he feels the same thing, but spirit is not giving us a direct answer, like, what is the reason? Like, how will it happen that he doesn't complete his 4 years? Because, like, there's like, he's, like, in his 70s, he's not that healthy, like, there could be a wide range of reasons why he doesn't complete the 4 terms, and I've been pondering that a lot because, like, people have been asking, but because I've just been, like, curious, and every time I tap in, I don't know if you've tapped in on this, but, like, I feel this, like, weird, ominous, like, intense energy. Like, I feel like spirit is sort of like, "No, he won't be president," but there's, like I feel like spirit is, like, smirking when they say that, like, I can't," it's like when you know a secret, but you, like, can't tell someone, and I'm like, "What is that?" And then my one of my friends made a post, and she said something in the comments of she's also, like, a Reiki healer and, like, intuitive person. She said something, along the lines of, like, "We've seen the veil, like, past the veil of the lies, and we're seeing the truth, but many people are still clinging on to that veil, and that we won't be able to, like, kind of, like, move forward until people, like, give up that veil." And that gave me, like, full body chills when I read it, which for me, intuitively, full body chills is, like, a sign that, like, it's true. And I was like, this feels like a key piece for like what I've been tapping into. Like maybe the timeline that everyone's talking about is this they're sensing like that there is another timeline that is available, but I feel like it's very contingent on if we as humans release the veil. Like if we stop holding on to that, like, hope, that safety, the comfortability that we're in, and we say, like, "We need to just truly let go of this." I feel like it's still, like, early stages forming,
Mhm.
psychic understanding, but yeah, I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, he did get his ear shot at one point. So,
And someone said
eh,
they felt psychically there'd be another assassination attempt, but he wouldn't die.
mm, I mean, I do feel like there's a lot of, again, collective hatred on on both sides of this,
Yeah.
and, we saw it with Luigi, like
Mhm.
there is that sort of undercurrent happening right now of these billionaires. Do they actually care about the the benefit of the
No.
collective? So, yeah, I mean, I'd like to call out, like, the billionaires and especially the, like, people in our generation, the children of these billionaires, like,
Mhm.
y'all are the ones that have the status, the power to create change in this and to, like, give back to the communities and to
Yeah.
create the systems that are going to support us. So,
But there a lot of them, it's, like, brainwashed or it's, like, the
that's
fear of losing their money.
yeah.
Like, I saw, like, the statistics, all the people, the cabinet members and people that Trump elected, they're all millionaires or billionaires.
Yeah.
So it's like now people who don't even live a reality that we live,
Yeah.
they'll never resonate with us. And like they have a private chef, we shop for our own groceries and cook
Yeah.
our own food. Like their life is completely different to ours,
Yeah.
are now making decisions for all of us, for the 95% of people or like 99% of people.
So that's where I feel like something has to shift within that
Yeah.
sphere, especially within the young people, the young souls that are incarnating within that world.
Yeah.
Like, that to me feels like where the shift
Yeah.
is it has to occur from that space of, like, because, yes, we, the common people, just simply put, like, we don't have access to those funds or access to that power and status. So,
Although I
it
would argue, like,
it
we all have power, we just capitalism makes us think we don't.
well, yes, we have spiritual power, right? Like,
Well,
we
we have purchasing power. We saw
yeah,
that with, like, GameStop, how everyone, like, got all the stocks, because they planned to buy stock and, like, then get and then, like, they started, like, limiting the market because people were having the purchasing. I think whenever you're saying, like, "What will the revolution look like?" and I asked
mm,
that question of Spirit, since the first time Trump was elected, I got the consistent answer of, like, "It will be a fight. It will not be easy." And I think that's where people struggle. It's
yeah,
like, what you're talking about is, like, you're wanting the path of least resistance. Like,
yeah.
if the rich people, the people in power could just wake up and just, help us, help everyone else out and realize that we're all in this together as humans, then it would be easy, but
But I'm also willing to fight
also
around.
very Aries.
Yeah, Aries sun, Aries moon. We're
I'm willing and ready and
yeah.
able and excited actually because my partner and I, we're always like joking around. We're like, man, like if you could just get away with like punching a Nazi in the face, like would you do? It's like, hell yes, I
Yes.
would.
What, like, right in the balls.
Because that's the thing that the love and light spirituality, when you look at how it derives from colonization, they want you to feel scared to do stuff like
Yeah.
that. They don't want you to look at the darkness and the heaviness and the truth that like boundaries are also physical boundaries, are also like like being out here calling it out, speaking your truth. That is the most spiritual thing that you can actually do. Because I always talk about this when I'm doing like meditations, like people believe the way that our new age spirituality in western society has been, set up, that spirituality is self-help actually. Like that's how a lot of people actually treat spirituality. It's like to manifest money for themselves, to get a partner for themselves, to feel better for themselves. It's all just that's self-care,
Yeah.
right? And real spirituality, especially if we're looking at like I'm one person saying it, but I'm going to give you like indigenous and ancient cultures. If you look at any of their histories, um, even like religion, spirituality is believing in something larger than yourself, is being connected to a community outside of yourself, right? When you go to church, you're worshiping God, some kind of bigger, larger entity that you believe watches over us and helps us or punishes us, whatever your religion is. I'm not judging any religion. And you are there showing up with your community. Your community members come together, you talk to them, you get to know them, you help them out like in a positive, well-functioning kind of church. They have like food banks and different things like that, like events and like they have like childcare, like it's community. And that's what spirituality is. That's what people crave. That's why people go to cults. That's why people like are in weird like oppressive religious spaces because they really like at our core humans naturally did that. And because we're so separated in our American society, that's what removes our power, right? Like that's where we don't realize, wait a minute, like if I swear, like if every single American, working class American even was to like stop paying their rent and like never like stand their ground and come together, so many things could be done because they don't want you to know this, but like in other countries, they do that. Like, I read in Mexico, all the women went to the Capitol building for, like I can't remember, I think it was, like, at least 20 days straight, the Capitol, like, area, and they protested. They didn't work. They didn't like, they weren't the capitalism creates the fear, like, if I don't work, I'll lose my job, I'll be homeless, right? That's the fear, so we don't feel like we can use our power,
Mhm.
and they did that, like and they were able to get abortion, like, legalized,
Yeah.
and, like, in France, ever since they cut off Marie Antoinette's head, they learned the royal people, the ruling class, they rely on you. There's more of us than there are of them.
Yeah.
And the second their government does anything they, like, don't even like a tiny, tiny bit in France, they, like, don't go to work. They go in the streets and they, like, light trash cans on fire and they riot, and then they keep doing it every single day until their government, like, listens to them.
Yeah, America, let's get on it because, like, this is not okay. Like, I'm genuinely scared for all of the families that will be experiencing this mass deportation. Like,
Mhm.
my heart is really heavy
Yeah,
right now, like,
yeah,
thinking about
yeah.
that. Yeah.
And we talk about people like Martin Luther King, like it was a long time ago. It wasn't. But we also talk about him so reverently and how he paved the way for so many people to have so many rights, and not just Martin Luther King, but many other, activists and black people and people of color and queer people. But we forget they weren't all peaceful protests. They weren't just like sitting, like some of them, like Pride was a riot, right? The first Pride was a riot. These people sat down and they got beat and thrown in jail.
I lived literally my last life, I died, which we'll do a whole past life episode, but I died
Protesting.
protesting.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
people think that because of how they, show us, that's how they share the history, but it's like the true history is not peaceful. Like having change, it's hard. We have to have these catalyst moments to break it up. And if clearly the other side is not willing, like the structures are not willing to see us for humans as who we are, we will have to make them see it. And that's why I feel like every time I tap in, it's like there is going to have to be some uncomfortability in some way, shape, or form.
Should we pull a card to end and just see what spirit has to say around Trump's presidency?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What will happen? What
do we
what advice
say?
does it have? The spirit.
To be honest, like I haven't tapped in around that question, and
Mm.
I don't know because we talked about in our last episode. It's not really my psychic gift to go into the realms of the future, but I do know that in the past, what is happening right now is very similar to what was occurring in Germany before the Holocaust,
Yeah.
which
And
is
literally Germans are
yeah,
on social media warning us. Like they're
yeah,
saying like look at the signs and like
it's scary.
I Jewish, so like the
Yeah,
second I see stuff like that, my intuition is like boom 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 red flags because
scary.
that's how you grow up like being Jewish. It's like a generational instinctual thing. What do we got? The Knight
The Pentacles,
of Crystals. Oh, I don't know. I haven't used this deck that much to be honest.
but it
Uh,
came through reversed, which
I don't think it's I don't think it's Pentacles. Let's see. Maybe it is because
I
this
just
is.
picked one of Love's decks.
I think it is because this is like plants and this
Yeah,
one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it makes sense that it would
Yeah,
be
because there's
Pentacles.
wands.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's like
That are
from
swords.
the earth.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
which if we're talking about the
Yeah.
Knight of Pentacles, then that card is the slowest moving energy in the entire deck.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah. I know, do you wanna pull one too? We'll both pull one.
So
But
give
yeah,
me a better
the
answer. Okay, so what we're asking, what does Spirit want to share about Trump's presidency?
Yeah.
Six of Swords. Eight of Pentacles. Yeah.
Other pentacle energy.
Slow moving still.
Slow moving. That's why I don't necessarily feel like it will be a short-lived thing.
Yeah, and all the things that he's doing
Yeah.
are creating ripples. They have created like his first presidency created enough ripples to have a second presidency to do all the abortion, all the trans, all the other things like that. Like I feel like they're saying like with the Eight of Pentacles, it's like the work that I think it's twofold. The work that he's putting in it's going to take time to reverse and to shift and change. But I also feel like they're saying like we have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Like, we can't just sit here and, like, talk about it. We have to, like, do about it, you know? We have to
Yeah.
be about it. We have to, in some way, organize, you know?
Yeah. Like the feeling that I'm getting, it's like brick by brick by brick
Mhm.
by brick, slowly as a society and as a collective, we have to redirect towards a better and aligned future, but that is going to require the intensity of the work to actually cultivate that future,
Mhm.
which requires also the energy of patience. I feel like the Knight of Pentacles really teaches us that quality of patience. But he is already planting these seeds that
Mm.
have created impact literally a day after presidency,
Yeah,
like signing all of these
yeah.
amendments.
He was able to go above the Supreme Court before he even was sworn into office and undo the TikTok ban. Like, that's how do you have that much power, not as a president, to go over the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
What? Like, there's a lot that where people are I don't know. I do feel too like if we're looking at this as like what is Trump doing in the presidency, the Six of Swords, I feel like it's like this chaotic energy because I feel like he just talks out of his out. Oh, and we're gonna do that, and like he's
Yeah.
we're gonna change Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Like it's just like random shit
He's
where
so
it's like, why
violent.
for what? Like what does this help us do? Why should we spend our tax paying money on this? Like what is the goal here, right? It's his own beliefs and his own ideology, which is again the individualistic thing and not
Ego here.
yeah, it's like if you're president, you should be thinking about the collective. Like you are making big decisions for the entire country, but he's just doing stuff that he wants to do, and he's created a really brilliant marketing scheme of getting people to like buy into his ideology as opposed to what does the American people want or need, and I'm going to give them that. And he just says those things to lie to you and then flip flops after, right? Like we saw that like immediately after he won the election. Um so yeah, I feel like it's sort of like this directionless, like still like hot and spicy, like sword energy, you know, like still having like a lot of initiating energy, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Which
It
this does too, right? It's like the first initial seed that's being planted. Yeah.
yes, yeah. So it definitely is like wanting to move, looking externally, looking outward at what you want to accomplish, trying to taking action on that, but then like needing to really get down to the nitty gritty and like put in the hardcore work and effort because that's what the Eight of Pentacles represents. So it's it feels like this balance between like fire and earth, you know, like quick and slow and steady. Like it's this oscillating energy that I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. This is weird cards, I feel. I was hoping for the death card.
That's why, I mean, future stuff for me is it is tricky to navigate, but this is what it feels like is happening right now because that's how I approach the tarot, as a mirror to what is occurring right now in the present moment,
Yeah.
and also just to read the
Future.
like the energy on it.
The Knight of Swords. Oh my god. Oh,
Dude, that's like the King of Swords?
I mean, I think it's looking.
No. No.
Wait, I didn't ask that question yet. I didn't ask that question yet. I didn't ask that question yet. Okay, what's gonna happen? Like, will Trump have the 4 years presidency? Like, what is coming up in the future for us with this president? Oh, 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 that's not a good card. Okay, lots of three energy. Interesting. So I pulled Three of Swords, Ace of Cups, Three of Pentacles reversed. Um, so Three of Swords is the past pain, right? Like not being able to let go, getting stuck from moving forward because your emotions, your feelings are getting in the way. You're unwilling to release and to create the change, like, or you're just like really burdened by it. And then here's the Three of Pentacles. Ace of Cups is interesting. New emotional understandings, new ways to resonate or to connect to things. I feel with the Three of Swords, it's like this is him putting the sword in the American people. Like I feel like he lied, he scammed, he cheated, he's a felon. Like there's so many different things that are happening behind the scenes. And that feels like I don't know, I just keep seeing, like, in my psychic vision, I keep seeing people who voted for him who now feel like the wool was, like, pulled over their eyes,
Yeah.
and though I do feel once they get to that point, they leave it there. They're like, "Oh, this sucks,"
Yeah.
and then they just, like, move on or they forget about it or
I just
something.
wanted a better economy. It's like
Yeah, so I feel like that, like, I feel like the duped or the betrayed feeling from the people that were, like, pro-Trump, and then the Ace of Cups I feel like is, like, what I feel like this one is the piece that the hump that we need to get over.
yeah.
It's like, so you're feeling it, you're seeing it, you're believing it. Now what's next? It's like almost like we're like trying to coach a child. Like, what do you do then? Like, then you say you don't like it and you change it, right? Like, I think that the emotional, because belief is the hardest thing to change in people. And he has created a really smart marketing strategy where people will align with him no matter what he does
Yes.
and a lot of that conservative, like, right-leaning people
It's very
have
complex.
that. Yeah, very cult-like. Lots of control, lots of you align with my thoughts, not have your own thoughts. So I feel like this Ace of Cups, it's like it feels like the water flowing out of the cup is tears. It feels like the tears are running over.
My Pisces delusional side is like, does this mean that Trump is then able to see all of the pain that he has caused and make a shift? Because again, if we're removing the separation principles and tactics, like, okay, we're talking about indigenous cultures earlier and how like they believe that God or source in essence is in everyone. And so if someone was operating from a state of hatred or fear, what they would do to that person is put them in a center of the circle, everyone gathered around that person and just loved on them, like gave them all the love, all of the healing energy. Can you imagine that? Like, now we just ostracize people and isolate them.
It's not
It
collective. It's like, "Ew, they suck, get away from me."
Yeah, because it's like Trump is also still here, still a human, still a part of source, still a part of our source consciousness. And so what is this? My delusional side. It's like what this is that he like sees all of the pain that he's caused and develops compassion, develops forgiveness, utilizes
I don't know about that. I don't know about all that. Like, there's literally been people, like, at the inauguration ball, there was, like, a pastor that
delusional. I know.
yeah.
That was wild. Yeah, that he would
Literally
be
was
like
like,
from so much
"Please."
love
Yeah.
and just he was like called her like mean names after that. Like what? Like you're a president now. Like
Yeah.
you're operating from this. So that's why I'm like, does this mean that, there is gonna be some shifts that happen for him on an emotional level that develops more compassion?
I feel like if we're looking at it, maybe
I
it's
don't
like
know.
he has somebody wrongs him or something from the past with the Three of Swords, and then he gets a new emotional, but that could be negative, right? He could be like, "I'm acting out. I'm gonna,
Well,
go
that's where we
harder."
see that he acts very
Yeah.
much from his
Yeah.
emotions. He's
Very
not
emotion-based.
logic. That's
Very
why watching
emotion-based.
the debate, I mean, I was like, how do people think that Trump won? In what world when he was out there just spewing all of these lies, like, and reacting from his emotions and not from this like logical, practical place. So that
Well,
also
when you do debate, you learn it's like you can do ethos, pathos, or logos as your like argument, and ethos is no emotion. If you play on people's
Mm,
emotions, it's very, very easy to manipulate without facts and
mhm.
truth, right? Like,
Yeah.
so I feel like and in the human design perspective, the emotional authority for intuition and how we process like the world
Mm.
is one of the largest percentages that humans have is emotional authority. So a lot
Have
of
you
the
seen his chart? Trump's
I think I've looked at
chart?
his chart. Yeah, he's a Gemini.
We'll have to do
Which
a whole let's
I
do a
looked
whole
this up,
episode on
yeah,
that
because
'cause
there's a whole trend where like most presidents in the US are Geminis. Like the top
they're also,
fuckers.
like, related to, like, hierarchy in England, which is also
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. So
But
that we should do an episode
yeah.
on that. But yeah, the last piece is the Three of Pentacles reversed. And like the Three of Pentacles represents like community, like, right? We're like working together to achieve a common goal.
Yeah.
And I feel like having this reverse, it's like either we're having more separation or I feel like it's the energy that I'm feeling is like everyone is saying something and he's like doing the opposite. Like he's like,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna listen.
Not
I'm
wanting
gonna
to
do what I want.
cooperate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it just feels like
Yeah.
not wanting to cooperate, not wanting to collaborate, not wanting to work
Yeah.
together. Or just creating like deeper gap and separation between humans in America because of the political like groups and
Yeah.
things. But
Mhm.
it feels more about, like, not wanting to cooperate. But it
Yeah.
definitely feels like to me, it feels like this energy of, like, everyone has said it, everyone believes it, everyone's in the room with you telling you. It's almost like an intervention. Like,
Yeah.
it's this energy of, like, "Look, dude, you have an addiction you really gotta help yourself and get
Yeah.
clean and you're hurting your entire family and your community.
Mm.
And all these people are showing up and they're like, bro, we all see it. And then this person is like, no, 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 no. I
Mm.
don't want to look at it. I don't want to admit it that I have like an addiction. I don't want to like
Yeah.
that's the energy that I'm feeling around this Three of Pentacles card is like everyone in the room is like, bro. And then he just like ignores and does something
Mhm.
else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that card, it relates to the second decan of Capricorn ruled by Mars. Mars exalts in Capricorn, but it does
Mhm.
have that like severing, cutting off, aggressive frequency
Yeah.
to it. And then when it's upright, it's like Mars has the action to execute. And that's why it's in this collaboration. So
Yeah.
first,
Yeah.
it's like, what are you executing on?
This is a really niche example that just came to mind, but it's like in Gilmore Girls.
I've
Um,
never seen that show.
I
I'm such a bad millennial.
you're missing out. Um, in Gilmore Girls, when Rory is in college, her roommate and friend Paris is like the editor, the lead of the Yale Daily News. They work at the newspaper place, and she gets elected to be like the leader, right?
Mm.
And she's, like, very, like, cutthroat and, like, very Capricorn, like,
Yep.
she makes it become, like, a dictatorship where she's like, "It's about doing like, get your numbers in, I don't care," like, and she pushes all of the staff to their limit, and then a lot of them quit, and then she, like, refuses to listen to them and to, like, acknowledge, like, her, like, ego, and then she creates this little, like, cardboard box, like, as an office inside of the newspaper room, and she's, like, hiding in there, and she has, like, a little, like, stove thing, and she's warming, like, a can of beans, and, like, everyone is, like, afraid to, like, approach her, and she just, like, comes out and yells at them, and then Rory, 'cause it's her friend, has to go in there and be like, "Look, it's over. Like, it's over. You're ousted. Like, you fucked it
Mhm.
up. Like, you need to
Yeah.
relinquish your role because you're not an effective leader," and she, like, really is like, "I don't want to do that," you know? Like, she's really resistant because she wanted to do such a good job, and her ego didn't wanna accept that. It feels like that. Like, it feels like that kind of energy.
Yeah. Mm, and that's maybe where the outpouring of this emotion is coming
Yeah.
from, like,
Yeah.
failure.
Yeah. Because I can
It's
see his inner child so clearly when I tap
oh,
his energy out so, 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 so
he's
clearly.
operating from his inner child.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I don't think
Mm,
he ever didn't.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
think I think he's like, when you're a rich kid like that, people applaud you being like that, and then you just learn that it's okay to be like that. That's why we have people like Andrew Tate who are just, like, spewing garbage, uh, on so strongly because
Yeah.
the inner child didn't develop into an adult, you know? Like, you didn't get that piece. You don't know how to connect those pieces and have like decenter yourself from the like you're not the center of the universe.
Mm. Yeah.
Damn, what a somber note.
Well, for fears, let us know what you think about all of this because it's just really, it's been heartbreaking, devastating, just intense times in 2025. So let us know like what you're seeing, any feelings.
We're here to create community number one, right? We want to create a safe space for everyone to explore and to challenge themselves and to open up to themselves and to feel empowered. And so yeah, if you have feelings, if you have theories, if you have questions, like I'm sure we'll do other podcast episodes around these topics because they're such like big important issues for our time right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we want to hear from you. Like we're not here to tell you what the truth is, unlike some leaders of America. Uh, but we're here to share openly what we're feeling and what we're sensing and our professional expertise and our ability to see through the patterns and all that to help connect the dots, to help you. Probably there's people listening, they're like, oh my God, I felt the same thing, like,
Yeah.
and
Let
that
us know.
that helps
Yeah.
you trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, a little short episode because our schedules are crazy today, but we will be back next week.
Sending you all so much love and healing energy.
But now we're triggered you and talked about all these things. Like, just calm down. Just take a deep breath. Go outside, cuss the grass, feel the sun, drink a glass of water, splash some water on your face, and pet your dog or your cat. Yeah, just know we're in it together. Humans have endured a lot of stuff. And we'll continue. We're so resilient.
Yes. That's our greatest gift, our resiliency and our adaptability and our creativity. Actually, there's three: resiliency, creativity, and adaptability.
All right. Well,
Bye, Sorciers.
thanks for joining us for another episode of Sorciers. We can't wait to hear your take on all the magic we talked about.
Follow Sorciers on IG and all other platforms to let us know your thoughts and get involved in our community.
You can also follow Love at Love Sakratoff on all the platforms.
And Tylynn at Tylynn Mackenzie, or go to my website, templeradiance.com.
We'd love it if you could leave us a review on Spotify, Google, or Apple Podcasts, and share Sorciers with anyone you feel might benefit from magical community right now. Hail Jupiter!
Thanks for seeing into Source with us.
Bye!